Hello, and welcome to the Be Formless Flow Driven CEO and VC podcast, where we are reshaping life, leadership, business, and investing from the inside out. And today I am welcoming to the show, again, locally, Chris Zhong. Welcome to the show, Chris.
Great to be here, B.
No, thank you. Thank you. We've actually met in person, haven't we? We had a coffee catch up the other week, which was awesome. It's always so nice to not just talk to people on screens, but actually meet them face to face and have that real, genuine connection.
Absolutely.
It's always better, if you ask me.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. How's your week been going?
Oh, it's been great. It's nice weather this week, in Melbourne, even it's not
Yeah,
normally
totally.
common. And it's a busy week, as well. I think, coming to, July, I think it's school holidays, but in the venture capital and startup, it's never stopped.
No, I agree. I totally agree with you. Although you said you've got a lot of, you do a lot of work internationally, and there's a lot of summer action happening overseas. Like every time I go online, I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to be somewhere in the heat. Yes, we're having great weather, but it's always nice to have that warmth as well. I will say a big shout out and hi and hello to the listeners also. Everybody, this is going to be an action-packed conversation with Chris. And when I caught up with Chris the other week, what I loved was just there's this female component to venture capital and also women in leadership in general. And there's a lot of discussions I've been having of late around how, women's founders, in terms of we've still got like this inequality or this gap in the amount of female founders we have, as well as, female founders seeking fundraising. And so I love it when I get to talk to fellow women doing amazing things in terms of really shaking it up, because we need the males and the female energy. We need to be able to also promote more of women going into leadership or becoming founders. So for all the female listeners out there and the males, I think you're going to get a lot out of this conversation with Chris. So Chris, let's get on into it. Chris, you are the founder and CEO of TavoAI and the co-founder of SunDAO Ventures. So, what do you call it? A multiple entrepreneur yourself. And you work at the intersection of frontier technology, of course, AI and venture capital, and you help founders, investors, and organizations navigate how emerging technologies are really being adopted in this real world. And it does feel like there's this interesting tension point at the moment, Chris, that I'll come back to, that I'd like to get your thoughts on. An important inflection point emerged when Chris realized that technology alone doesn't create the transformation. It's the quality of the human decisions, the trust, and the collaboration that determines whether innovation succeeds or it doesn't. That insight reshaped Chris's journey from building technology inside large institutions such as Microsoft. I was about to say IBM, but Microsoft, and big banking organizations as well. So reshaped your journey from building technology inside the large institutions to founding companies and reimagining how venture capital can accelerate innovation. Today, as I said, as the founder and CEO of TavoAI and co-founder of SunDAO Ventures, Chris is building AI solutions while helping reshape venture capital through the collective intelligence rather than the closed-door networks. We'll talk about matchmaking. And at the heart and soul of your work is a belief that the future won't be built by technology alone. It will be shaped by the people and communities who choose how that technology is used. Tell us a bit about your journey, because you kind of were in this corporate world. You could have stayed in it, no doubt. It's always a big company like Microsoft and from a banking perspective. Then you've taken the leap of faith, decided to go and do your own thing. What was that? Why did you choose to take the leap of faith?
I think I'm always an entrepreneur, at heart. Even when I work for big corporations, I always work with emerging technologies. So when I was with Microsoft at that time, cloud was not a thing yet. It's still called Windows Azure, not Microsoft Azure. And I was, the first on the train to actually starting to work on Azure. And it's same as the blockchain. One I think is 2016, 2017, one is very early days for Ethereum and Bitcoin. And this is where I see, the transformative effect these technologies can bring to the industry. Then I switch and I jump to it and I, try to get myself the opportunity within Microsoft itself to work with clients on this emerging technologies. So, and I think this is, where if I look at my career, it's always like, building new things, even within the big organizations. This is always an entrepreneur at heart. And I think I got very fortunate, spent 4 years in Switzerland during COVID time. And I think that shaped me, with very much, global perspectives of how things happen, because the organization I worked with is, for folks might know, it's called the Bank for International Settlements. What it does is consider it's like a United Nations, but we only focus on banking monetary policies, central banks. So if we have global financial crisis, we are the one who doing the coordinations, among different countries. So this one giving me quite a bit of a global perspective to see, okay, what sort of technologies that it can have the impact on the global stage and global scale. So that's where I get myself into more of the digital assets, the CBDC, digital dollars, and all those sort of initiatives. So again, very cutting edge emerging technology.
Totally. It sounds like it. Christy, when you decided to start TavoAI and SunDAO Ventures, as a female yourself, did you find it challenging, like from being in the corporate world and obviously being in, frontier technology? Like, do you see a lot of women playing in that space, or is it predominantly more like males? Like, what do you see? And was there any moment there where you were like, can I do this? Should I do this? Or were you just like, because you are, like, you talk about this frontier, right? Like, you're constantly ahead of the game. Or was it just always in your mind, no, this is where I'm heading and this is what I'm going to do?
So it's a very good point, because in my industries, for the listeners, I co-founded SunDAO, which for it's a investment DAO, in the senses we have is think about it as like investment collective that people coming together and we evaluating deals and making investment decisions together. So our DAO, me and my business partner, which another co-founders, we are females. Then we probably have another 2 members are females, and the rest are all men. I have to admit that this is an industry that I see certainly there are more males, more interesting in the frontier technologies, because the risk, because the uncertainties. I think, for most of the females, like, some of my colleagues and my friends, they are more risk averse. And one come down to either pursue a new career in the new frontier or making investment in the frontier technologies. So, but I see the new generations, especially Gen Zs, those girls, they catching up, man, they are fearless.
Yeah, I love that. Why do you think that is, Chris? Like, do you think it's because they've been brought up more with that the technology is being more in front of them, or what do you think it is? Like, that I wish I had been more fearless. I don't believe in regrets. I definitely think, though, that there's a lot of times where I've been more around should I, shouldn't I, rather than just going for it. What is it that Gen Z, what do you think's different?
I think it's more information available to them.
Yeah.
More opportunities presented to them, and also they raised up by the society, and that is more open for girls, for female to pursue those sort of career. I think even in my, I'm not going to tell you my age, but in my time, I think the women are always being told that we of course we're not traditional wife anymore, but it's always get a stable job,
Yeah.
and be able to look after the kids and support the family. That's ideal sort of female images. But now I think the society have different expectations, for the new generations, and us as well. So and the good thing is, with AI, the technology enablement, for us when we were young, to start a startup is very difficult. You have to spend a lot of time to buy IT infrastructure. Then you probably, if you learn yourself, or you have to hire someone to build something. And then it's everything is difficult. And now everything is the barrier is much lower for people to enter into it.
Yeah, which takes me into my next question actually, because it's a good point you make, because the barrier has been lowered.
Yeah.
There's also this like almost conundrum, or not even a conundrum. It's like there's a point at the moment that I'm noticing and observing, and interested to see if you are also, that we've almost had this tech avalanche of, if you're not across AI, if you're not embedding this in your business, there's so many, you'd be seeing it no doubt in your speed dating. We'll come back to that in a minute. Around like a lot of AI native companies. There's probably no doubt a lot of AI shiny native companies that won't last a distance. They're like going to be a one-hit wonder, if you like. There's almost feeling like a little bit of, whoa, hang on a second. Like, I need to just look at everything in totality now. And what do I actually need here? So it just comes back to, you talk about this collective intelligence, or, or the collective, if you like. It's what role humans have, and then what role that the tech plays, and then how you put the two together. I think we're at a really interesting point, because I think there was a lot of, I just need everything to do everything for me. And now I'm like, I can't do everything for me.
That's exactly right, B. I think especially current society, we are in the sea of informations, like overloading. And you see, and also we hear stories, hey, this 20 years old, make $1 million in 3 months, by vibe coding some AI tools. We hear these kind of stories all the time. And, those are true stories. I give them credit for that. But I think nowadays, if you ask me from a venture capital perspective, if you're looking at what kind of companies are investable, what are their moat, the technology's barrier is so low now. If you have something, I can, in 3 months, you make 1 million, then I can vibe coding the same things. And it's all going to come down to distribution and marketing and how I'm going to sell that once, right? So to having a moat is more difficult than before now, because technology is difficult to become a moat anymore. And what I see, and people's patience is less and less nowadays, right? We all wanting to become millionaire within a year. We want to drop out of the school, and those sort of I wouldn't even call American dreams. We call it Australian dreams or AI dreams nowadays.
Dreams, I love that. That's very cool. There you go, frontier. Here you are. I've not heard like AI dreams. That could be part of your thumbnail actually for this podcast.
So and that reminds me of previous years, doing cryptos, and then a lot of companies and companies go for ICO only, just with one white paper. People just putting money there, then they become millionaire overnight. And I think nowadays, especially with this sort of situations, I use the word taste is more and more important.
Yeah.
Let me see. When I look at the website, I see something, everything is very similar because it's all AI made. I look at the social media posts, everything is very similar. It's in the content wise, it's similar. And I think, the more you go into this, then you find people with very unique insights on a particularly sort of domain area that is going to become very valuable, because those are proprietary knowledges. Those are the insights they build along the way.
I agree.
That's what I call taste. So I look at the founder, I look at, whether you have a taste or not. People say I can build very fast. I am good at executions, but AI will be able to do that or do better than that. So what we need is the human brain, the insights that you be able to accumulate through your own experiences and be able to turn that into something that other people are value about. I think that's probably the key mode, I'll be looking for in this kind of AI.
Yeah, it's so true. And, coming right back to your point around patience, like I know even with myself, 3 years into my own business, I love hearing what you've just said. It actually is refreshing when you question yourself as a founder and you're like, why isn't this landing as quickly as it should? But it's all just comparison, right? And what you're talking about here is exactly what I'm about. And for all the listeners, like, to build a moat with taste, and that is actually not a sea of sameness, it takes time. And I have to keep reminding myself that, because I'm not just building a consultancy business. Like, I'm building something that is way bigger than that. You know, let's research, it's insight, like and it's still all forming. And so when we go and rush it at times because we think, oh my God, if I don't have this like everybody else is doing, or, you know, you take on all this feedback, etc., you end up just in this, you do. You end up in a sea of sameness. It's not a long-term moat versus it's just a short-term moat that could potentially within 6 months' time be leapfrogged or like somebody else could jump over it. And so it is really interesting because I think that we're not talking about what you've just talked about enough. And this is where we need to be talking more about this, having this conversation. Are you having this conversation in your networks, Chris? Like, is there something that you're talking when you like? I'd love for you to share a little bit about your matchmaking and what you do with SunDAO Ventures as well.
I think this is. See, I was talking from a founder side to startup side, like, you know, startup need to be more patient. I think from the investor side, they also need to be more patient. So in the venture capital world, traditionally, a fund, generally the vintage is 7 to 10 years, right? So you put the money there, and then after 7 to 10 years, you know, you will get your returns. And now, you know, the investors also do not have a lot of patience because there are so many ways to get the cash quickly. Right. So in that sense you can buy stock, you can invest in, you know, the crypto, you can buy real estate. There are so many, you know, ways for people to put money and get a return quickly.
Yeah.
Okay. So again, I think and I ask myself, right? So when I get into investment, do I want a business that is profitable and create like good cash flows, you know, within the returns? Or I get into it with a vision or a view of be able to, you know, help cultivate, you know, the next unicorn that will have an everlasting impact for the world.
Yeah.
Which path I want to choose as an investor myself. I think this is every investor, they have to ask themselves, and it's gonna be, you know, impacting where they're gonna put their money on.
Yeah.
And then I think there is no right or wrong on which path, you know, you choose.
Okay.
But I think now, as I said, even, you know, with more the AI, there are more opportunities for people to put money in, but it's also require, I think, there are more temptations. And in the sense of you probably need to put more rigid sort of the principle when you come to the investment. What's your thesis? And do you have a strong conviction on that thesis when it comes to the investment?
It's so true.
And,
we're in this fire horse gear. You would know it well, no doubt. Like it's speeding, and it's like everyone is trying to keep up with it. And that's been one of the big things that, you know, if you read into it, it's less about trying to keep up. It's more around the whole, like sitting on the horse and not like being pulled from side to side, like on a straddle sort of thing. And this is exactly what we're talking about here.
Yeah, exactly. It's again come down to the core of who you are, of how you understanding of yourself.
Yeah.
So in this world, there are so many temptations. And if your core is not stable, then it's very easy, you know, from every day we feel like we're very busy every day from morning to evening, but we end up with nothing or emptiness, I think, at the end of the day.
Agree. Chris, tell us a little bit about this collective intelligence versus this closed door status game. I'm really interested around what you mean by that, and I'm sure the listeners are too, because the VC space has always been quite a closed door game, status game, and a lot of business as well. Like I think, but not just from a VC perspective. It's like it's not what you know, it's who you know. Or you have these different clubs, and then you go, how do you force your way in? Well, it's generally forcing your way in. You're shaking it up. You're reshaping it in a way that seems a lot more inclusive.
Yeah, I think I spent many years in the crypto blockchain space. So I'm very much into this ethos of sort of the, you know, decentralizations, the democracy and all those other things. And I happen to, you know, when I coming out, you know, with my last employer, which is a large crypto foundations, And doing in that foundation, I work with a lot of startups. I was looking after the grant allocations, for the foundations for their startups. And naturally, a lot of startups come to me because they said, hey, the grant is not going to be enough for us. And, we need more capitals from the outside to help the company to grow, right? And there is certainly a demand for capital. And at the same time, there are a lot of established good funders and operators. They're happy to support the ecosystem startups. Okay. So I think that is just very naturally the idea come to, okay, let's make a group. Okay. And let's help our ecosystem startups to grow. Okay. Not just by capital, but also by the support we could give to them. So for example, partnerships, different services, open doors, doing intros. So that's the rough idea of how SunDAO is getting formed, just a group of people saying, okay, let's do this. And I don't even co-founder is an easy term for people to understand, but internally I call myself summoner. So
What, sorry, a summoner?
Summoner. Yeah. So I summon the DAO together. So I summon them. So that's my role, right? So I'm not like the GP traditional in the VCs that I'm the, GP that I basically making all the decisions, investment decisions myself. No, my role is to funding those people align with the vision and have the ability to contribute. And I put them together and give them an environment that they can be the best of themselves.
I love that. So it's almost like it's like a summoner is like a conductor, right? You orchestrate. You're orchestrate, like you're a conductor of the ecosystem, if you like. Versus,
exactly.
And you're matching the different.
Exactly. So the SunDAO is like traditional VCs. You have LP and GPs, right?
Yes.
And GPs basically, making investment decisions, and LP is very passive in the way of like
Limited,
capitals, right? I think in here, like, it's very different because everyone in the DAO is a LP and is a GP. So in a sense, it's people putting, and I think this is more incentive aligned because people are putting their own money on the line when it comes to decision makings. And the good thing with DAO is we do not just focus on the traditional investors. We have investors in the DAO. They have a lot of angel investing or VCs in the DAO, but also we have a lot of good operators. They are, business founders themselves. They are good operators, for example, in crypto exchanges, market makings, even marketing, lawyers. They have different also expertise. And this is what I think is powerful about DAO is it's not just a capital alignment. Like, yes, we will invest to put in capitals, but at the same time, different people, they have different offer that they can strengthen the startups once we decided to make the investment. I think this is why a lot of startups, they like us. They want to, they want SunDAO to invest in them. Even if our check size is not that big, we cannot compete with traditional big investment firms. But what we are strong with is the community element of that.
Yeah, I love it.
People can...
Yeah. So I've got a few people I want to connect you with just listening to you now, like in this, doing the same sort of thing around Europe. You might already know some of them anyway, but it's I love it because it talks community, it talks collective, and if we think about coming right back to what we were both just talking about before, this whole sea of sameness and this beigeness and this way of always doing it in a very linear way. What we're talking about here is making a tangible difference, the impact as a collective, and how do we shape things or reshape things for the better.
Yeah. And it's community building, exactly to your point, B. I think it's community building, it's relation building, because at the end of the day,
100%.
I think what is really valuable is the relationship you have with the people around you. It's really not just your product. So that's why I think, SunDAO has been, really attractive, from, for the people that sharing the same vision, because they see the power of it. It's
Yeah.
so for our DAO members, right? They will invest, but at the same time, they also, get business opportunities with the startups. They got the business opportunities, with each other. We do those sort of DAO gatherings around the world, like twice around
Yes, you
a,
said
a
that.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I think the more we into the AI era, the more valuable the human relationships are.
100%. I couldn't agree more. I love it. I love this conversation, Chris. I've got 2 final questions for
Yeah.
you. SunDAO, how did you come up with the name SunDAO?
So, so first of all, we are a DAO. I think for a lot of traditional investors, you're probably not familiar with a DAO. It's like decentralized autonomous organization. But if we put it as DAO, it sounds like very cool. It's called a DAO.
Yeah.
And it also has sort of the Chinese element.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I was hoping you would bring this up. Like, I'm coming from my brand and advertising days. I definitely do see a synergy there. Yes.
Yeah. So, we like the DAO, and, we have this sun, like, we want to have the vision of, like the sun that, when the sun rise, okay, the light is covering everything,
Yeah, it's
not
a
just
golden ray.
particularly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we want to have that sort of a brightness,
Ray of light.
to the
Yeah.
world, and
Yeah.
also the fairnessness. In the sense of, doesn't matter you are rich people or you're poor people, the sun, when they rise, everyone get the sunlight,
That's so
right?
nice. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I love that. And, it's really interesting that you talk about that in terms of the decentralization. We are moving more into that. I think across not just what you're talking about in general, this power is shifting. The hierarchical model is completely, up for grabs at the moment. So I do feel that I love the name, and I just think that what you're doing is incredible. Last but not least, when I met you the other week, and you and I were both like, we'd been running around and we were talking about it. And I want to share it with the listeners because I think that when you're doing multiple things and you are on a mission and purpose to make huge impact in the world, it's not just a job, which is clearly not. It's not just a job for you. It's not just a job for me, what I'm doing as well. How do you, though, ensure that you give yourself the time to be present, to basically fill your own cup up, fill your cup back up with sunshine, if you like, with the sun, because it's easy to give, and then just feel like exhausted. What do you do so that you can ensure that you're at your best?
I think meditation. I don't know if you do that.
Yes, I do.
I quite, this is my, morning routine to meditate, and then I think reading is good, but also I think very important is you need to surround yourself with people who are supportive, who is willing to go to the extra mile to support you. I think the supportive network is very important. I have these sort of circles, in different ways I can pour help, support, whether it's, let's go to a trip together, go to a nice restaurant together, or, I have very good business mentors help me when I have these situations. But you need to find the genuine people who are willing to invest in your life and form that into your close support network. And you will have the opportunity to give as well.
Yeah,
I think giving is a great thing that will give a great satisfaction.
It's a gift. What meditation do you do, Chris, out of interest?
I just do the simple breath.
Yeah.
I don't actually, do too complicated. I just, sit 30 minutes and just, deep breath in and breath out. Yeah.
I've studied pranic healing. So I've been doing a Twin Hearts meditation, and I just love it. Yeah.
I see.
It's
Awesome.
for people, for businesses, for society, for the planet. It's great. So, Chris, what a great conversation. Thank you so much. How do we find out more about you? How do we find out more about SunDAO Ventures? And how do we find out more about...
Yeah, so definitely welcome to connect with me on LinkedIn. So if you just look me up for Chris Zhong and SunDAO Ventures or TavoAI will come up, and then you will, get into the world of my once we connected.
Amazing. Thank you, Chris. I really appreciate your time. So have a wonderful rest of the day. And it is a little bit of, there's a bit of sunshine here today. So get out there and enjoy it. I'm going to at some point.
You too, B. Thank you so much for inviting me and to share, this with you together. It's a great chat. I totally enjoy it. And, also, wishing you, a good day and wishing all the listeners, a wonderful day as well.
Yes, thank you. Big shout out to those listeners. Yeah, please share, like, comment. We do love the feedback. So thank you. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.